Okay, simplify fractions or rational expressions. Now, a couple of things before I start. If you have trouble doing this, it means that your factoring skills are not what they should be. So if you have trouble with this topic, I'd recommend that you go watch all of the factoring videos and make sure that you understand GCF, trinomials, all that good stuff. The biggest mistake that people make is wanting to cross out when things have a plus or minus between them. And I prove to you that it just doesn't work. 4 plus 2 is 6, for sure. 4 minus 3 is 1, for sure. That's 6. Now, if you cross out these 4s, you don't get 6. It doesn't work. Cannot cross out terms that have a plus or a minus between them. The only way you can cross out is if there is multiplication. That is why you factor, because factoring breaks things down into a product of smaller things. And you cross out the things they have in common. Now, this one, it's tough to spot what to do because, there's no squares, but you have to realize that looking at the top, there is a common factor of 2. That's all you can do is divide away the 2. Cut the numbers in half. The letter has to stay there. Half of 8 is 4. Now, on the bottom, 15 and 12 are both divisible by 3. So divide 15 by 3, get 5. I mean, what are you going to get? 12 divided by 3 is 4. Gee, big shock. Now, here, look. There is the product right there. You're multiplying. So you're crossing out that entire thing, and you're left with just 2 over 3. All right, so that's the first one. Okay, number 2. I'm actually reshooting this because I think it got messed up the first time I tried to film it. It might have been paused and not recording. So just in case, the top does not factor. There's no GCF. There's no letters in common. There's no numbers in common. So you can't do anything with x plus 2. You got to leave it alone. The bottom factors. The bottom's a trinomial, right? 1, 2, 3 things. So we put our 2 parentheses down. We put our x, and we do our signs. I always put that sign first. I know they're different. How do I know they're different? Because the last number is a negative. So the signs are different. Now, you can't take 10 and 1 because you have to make a 3. So 2 numbers who multiply to 10, that's 5 times 2. Negative 5 plus 2 is a negative 3 in the middle. So I know that it worked. And now, yay, I have a common factor I could cross out. Here's the first trap that people fall for. They put x minus 5, and then, yeah, I got that all day. But the problem is, it's wrong. Like, no, it's not. There's no way that's wrong. But, if you had 2 over 6, and you decided to tell me that 2 divided by 6 is 3, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 2 divided by 6 is 1/3, right? You got to put that 1 on the top. So same thing here. Notice this x minus 5 is on the bottom of the fraction. It's on the bottom, so you have to put something on the top. Well, when these cross out, what do they make? When you divide something by itself, right? Something by itself, you get 1. So do not forget the 1 on the top. That's a little trap that you can fall into. So just be very careful when you do it. All right, question number 3. Start getting a little more complex, but still not that bad. Again, resist the temptation. You can't cross these y squareds out because they are connected to something else with a plus and with a minus. All you can do is factor the top and the bottom. Now, they have y squareds in them, and there's no GCF. So there's no GCF here, right? There's no common number. There's no letters in common. Same thing here. The bottom is difference of squares. That's the easy one. That's type 3, right? Something times itself with opposite signs. If you're in a good mood, put the plus first. All you have to do, something times itself, right? Nothing fancy. Now on the top, again, build your signs first. I always like to write this one first. I know that they're opposites because this is a negative. Now, I mean, really, it's either 21 and 1 or 7 and 3, but to make the 4 in the middle, it's got to be 7 and 3. Simple. And then just cross out the ones they have in common. No big deal. Again, don't do anything weird. I'm going to cross out the y's. Can't do anything else. Factor the top, factor the bottom, cross out what they have in common, and then just leave it alone. All right, number 4. Again, we're going to require double factoring. Now, this problem is very tricky because there is a trap. The trap is up there. I'm going to factor the bottom first because it's more straightforward. The bottom is x and x. I need a negative and I need a plus. The signs are different. And, to make the 2, you're going to have to pick 4, right? 4 times 2 is 8. Negative 4 plus 2 is a negative 2 in the middle. Now, on the top, you have to be super careful here. There are two different ways to make a 10, right? There are numbers that make 24. Let's see, there's 6 and 4, and there's 12 and 2. If you add 6 and 4, you make 10. If you subtract 12 and 2, you make 10. So it's very easy to pick the wrong pair if you don't get the signs right, or even if you do get the signs right. What I will see people do is put x minus 12, x plus 2, right? Thinking negative 12 plus 2 is negative 10. But the signs don't work because a negative times a positive is not a positive. You have your signs wrong, but notice that this still crosses out. That's the trap. You will factor it wrong and cross out and not even know you did it wrong. So that's not the right pair. My signs have to be the same. They're both negative. How do I know? I drop this one first. If this is plus, then the other one has to be the same. So it has to be 6 and 4. Negative 6 take away 4 is the negative 10 in the middle. Negative 6 times negative 4 is plus 24. Cross out the common thing. Now, the second trap is coming up. Again, your brain sees 6 and 2 and it wants to go for it. Make it 3, just cross them out. But they're connected to something else with a plus and a minus. So you, no matter how bad you want to cross them out, no matter how much it looks like you can cross them out, you cannot. You have to stop there. You can do nothing else. All right. Okay, number 5 is the first one that starts getting really tricky because the factoring gets more complex. The top, hopefully you recognize that, right? They have letter in common, M2, M1. And then this has a 4 and this has an 8. So you can divide them by 4. So you're gonna factor a 4m from the top. So just divide, right? If you need to do this on the side, do it on the side. 8 divided by 4 is 2. This m got removed into the front. If you want to make sure you factored it right, just double check. 4m times m is 4m squared. 4m times 2, right? 4 times 2 is 8. The m goes along to the right. So it matches what you started with. Now the bottom, this is not the type 5. This is not the trick. If you go and multiply the last number by 2, it's not happening. It's wrong. You have a 2, and a 12. They're all divisible by 2. So the first step there is to factor out the 2. And you know what? I'm going to do that on the side. So I can just write the whole thing over here. Divide all these by 2. If it helps you to put it underneath, put it underneath. So those 2's crossed out. You're left with m squared. 2 divided by 2. Don't forget the negative there. That's 1. And then cut that in half. Right? All I did is divide the numbers by 2 and move that into the front. And do anything else. You don't mess with the letters. Right? You can't take out 2m. I see people do this. Now, just factor that. It's m, m. What are my signs? That one goes first. The other one has to be plus. They're opposites. I mean, look, you have a 2 here. So it's not going to be 6 and 1. 6 and 1 don't make 1 in the middle. It has to be 3 and 2. And then just go cross them out. Make sure you make the sound effect. So you get 4m on top. Now, here's where it's going to get tricky. Right? Those cross out. Why? Because it's a product, right? I can't fit the dot there. There's a dot there. There's an invisible dot there that I can't fit. The problem is that you actually can do more. This is 2 times m minus 3, right? Product. This is not 2 plus m minus 3. So it's not separated by a plus or minus. So this 2, and look, that 4. If this was 4 plus m, you'd be done. You wouldn't be able to cross out this 2 on the bottom. But since this is multiply and this is multiply, you can actually take this 2 and divide it into that 4 and make a 2. So then on the top, you get 2m. And you get m minus 3. But what about that? You could cross out the m's, but you can't. This m is connected to this 3 with a minus. Yeah, that one's being times. If the bottom was 3m, you could cross out the m's because it's times, but it's not. You have a minus or a plus between them. You can't cross them out. So then this is the final answer. You have to stop there. Okay. So those are the first 5 from the worksheet. So hopefully this is helpful.